For extension B, it asks you to add more tally buttons so you can tally multiple things. To do this, there's a lot of stuff you need to do, actually. Decide what you want to tally. You could leave them just very vague if you wanted to and just name them tally counter 1, 2, and 3. That's what I'm going to do for this tutorial for you. If we go in and search for some images, I'm just going to look for number 1. In Google Images, the best way to find an image, go to Search Tools, labeled for reuse, and look for a picture that works for you. I'm just going to find a number 1 that's awesome, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to save the image. I'm going to save it as 1 button. I'm going to try to find a number 2 that looks similar. It would be in a circle. This is pretty similar. I'm going to save this image as 2 button. And then I'm going to try to find a number 3 that's similar in a circle. Beautiful, right here. Save as 3 button. So now I have my 3 images. I need to change a bunch about this screen. I can't fit 3 buttons on here. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, change this button down to something smaller. I know that 75 pixels will work for 3. That's just from trial and error of me trying it. I also know that I'm going to need a horizontal arrangement from the layout drawer under palettes. And then I will need 2 more buttons from the user interface. And put one here, one here. I'm going to change this first button, and I'm going to name it Button Tally 1. You can put the number 1, you could write the word 1. I don't care, as long as you know what it does. I'm going to change the font size down to 12, maybe 14. No. I'm going to do 12, and I'm going to change the image. I got to upload those images that I just did. So I want button 1, and now it's, oh, look at that. I don't even need any text. I'm going to get rid of the text in there. If yours needs text, in the text you need to change it to like tally 1 or whatever yours is. Ice cream, puppies, kitties, people. But I'm going to have nothing in there since these buttons are pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to go over to this button. I need to rename it. Button Tally 2. And I'm going to leave that font size. I'm going to change my height and width to the 75 pixels. And the image, I need to upload the number 2 button. And I'm going to get rid of that text because I don't need it because this button's self-explanatory. Yay! Rename Button Tally 3. And by the magic of video editing, I've already done those 3 buttons. I'm going to need to put in a label and a number label here for each of these counters. I also need to rename the ones that I have so they make sense with my new buttons. So this label is now going to be, I'm going to leave it counter 1, but I'm going to rename it label counter 1. I'm not even going to put a description in there because that's just too much text. And I'm going to rename the counter number, label counter 1 number. So that's actually the number value that counter 1 is at. Now I'm going to go over here and I need to pull over these two labels. This one I'm going to rename label counter 2. And it should say counter number 2. And then this one I'm going to rename label counter 2 number. And I'm going to change that value to 0 to start. And I'm going to do the same thing for this third label. Pull 2 over and rename them. Now that I've got my 3 counter buttons and my label set up, I can go into blocks. And here's where I'm going to start doing my coding. I have now 3 tally counters. So I need one initialize global variable for tally counter 1, tally counter 2. I can name these whatever I want, but to me it makes sense to name them what they are. Tally counter 1, 2, and 3. I need to copy and paste, basically duplicate these blocks for each of the tally buttons. I didn't finish my sound here. I'm going to put that L sound. There we go. So I'm going to right click and duplicate. And now for the second one, I want to set everything for button tally 2. When button tally 2 is clicked, if the checkbox is checked, then I'm going to get whatever numbers in tally counter 2 and add 1 to it. I need to update the label counter 2 number to whatever that counter is and then play the sound. I'm going to do the same thing for tally counter 3. And I'm going to get the 3 variable and I'm going to add 1 to it. I'm going to find the number for that label and set it to the number. And now I have all 3 of those programmed. I'm also going to need to update my reset button. One of the things I want to update about it, I'm just going to make it reset all 3 of them together. You could set this and make 3 buttons instead of 1 reset, so 1 for each and reset it, or just leave it the way it is. To leave it the way it is, you just copy these sets in here and change this to counter 2, the number for counter 2 for the label. There, now that one's set to 1. And then for, I'm just duplicating these, tally counter 3, we're going to set that variable to 0. And we're going to update the little label so we know that that's now at 0 too. If you test your app now, it should work to have those 3 tallies working independently of each other.